Hello, Bruno. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Let's
Thanks for
start with
having me.
introductions. Maybe with Martina, since you were the first to join.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, my name is Martina Comuzzi. I work as the music licensing manager at West One Music Group. We're production music delivery. So, we provide music for film and television, advertising, video games, all visual media. So we make music specifically for that. So yeah, that's kind of in short what I do. My background is I used to be a guitar technician, a guitar builder. Used to play in bands. I'm a guitarist. So yeah.
That's cool. Is there a particular reason why you switched?
I think I've been doing it for a while, and I just kind of wanted to try something else. So I got a certificate in music business at UCLA. And then I kind of just stumbled in to sync and licensing. So yeah, it just kind of happened. I always thought I would end up in touring, which, thinking of COVID and everything that's happened, I'm kind of happy I didn't. So yeah, kind of by accident, kind of fell into this.
That's cool. And is there anything inspiring that you wanted to share, or?
I was actually really inspired by, so I'm from Sweden, so I love Eurovision. And there was an Italian rock band that won this year called Måneskin. And it just really inspired me that that someone that sings in their own language can win. And also that they brought rock back to a competition that's mainly pop. Also all over the global charts. So it's really just cool to see a rock band kind of coming back, and like I've always loved rock. So I think that's really cool.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing. Beautiful. Alberto.
All right. So I am originally a bass player, turned into producer, composer. So I'm still doing all those things. And when Triple Scoop started around 2006, they started. It was created by an artist that I was playing with, and recording and doing all kinds of stuff. And so he just wanted me to be part of it somehow, and he knew that I was already doing some production and writing, doing all this other stuff. So he really liked my productions, and since we are so focused on artists, or we care about the artists, not just like the business. So he just wanted to be part of it, just like, hey man, I need somebody with your ears and that can find great music and all the stuff. And when we started getting all these artists, and we also realized that there was a niche for the type of license that we could do, for internet and videographers, filmmakers, and that kind of stuff that was missing back in 2006. There was no company doing that, or companies doing that type of license with really good music. So we found that. He said, hey man, just come on in, let's build this, so that's the CEO. And since then we've been growing and learning and providing music for, we started like photographers, videographers. Then we also started expanding more to other type of licensing, big companies like Apple, Adobe, Vimeo, that kind of stuff. So we started just growing and figure out that we could do all these different type of licenses, and it's still, I'm still recording, playing, composing, have a bunch of different projects with like bands and artists and all that kind of stuff. So that's about it.
It's awesome. Anything inspiring?
You know what? It's like every day something. If I find an artist that has, like, independent artists actually, that they have like really awesome music but also have like a really great message. So a lot of times I'll find an artist and I'm like, why is it that nobody knows you? So that kind of stuff sometimes drives me, and it's like, it gives me a lot of energy. So it's inspiring. It gives me, like, it motivates me. It just, you know, finding a great artist that I can be kind of like, hey man, you know what? You have great music. You can, yes, I believe you can do really good doing, you know, if you try to license your music or that kind of stuff. And also, like, your music is amazing. Your messages are great, you know.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Willow.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I am an artist, so I'm actively releasing music and playing shows in LA and doing that whole thing. But in the past couple of years, have started to focus more on custom songs, as well as writing for sync and pitching and doing all of that stuff with the catalog that I've developed over the years, which has been very exciting and fun to have that in the mix. So I'm excited to be here and continue to learn, and hopefully have a little bit of small experience to share as well from the artist perspective.
Cool. Anything inspiring?
I just read Alicia Keys' memoir, More Myself, and I think she's, to me, just inspiring on all levels, from musical excellence to just the way she carries herself in the world. And her book was really, really inspiring to me.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Greco.
Hi, I'm mostly known as a guitar player. Since last year, I've embarked on this journey of composing and writing for visual media. And I've known you, Bruno, for a long time. And, you know, we were talking last year and you were like, yeah, let's put together some panels. And so this is also something that happened last year, but still playing guitar, writing songs, and that's about it. You know, touring is still not back up. So, and to be honest, after spending a whole year at home, I think I'm okay staying at home and writing songs and writing music, and that's great.
Right.
I love it. As far as inspiration, this week I watched a few movies. Frank and Ollie, which is the story of two key animators in some of the first Walt Disney movies. And these guys, just their approach of how they would create a scene for, like, you know, The Lady and the Tramp or Bambi or that kind of thing. And they participated in all those movies and their process. And, you know, they would work next to each other, and they commuted to work together. They live next to each other, and they have this relationship that's like 50, 60 years long, and both in work and in life. And it was a beautiful movie to watch. The other couple of things that inspired me were Akira Kurosawa's last movie called Madadayo, which is the story of a teacher, you know, and his students get together every year and celebrate his birthday after he retires. And it goes through Japan during the war, and just beautiful, beautiful meditation on your legacy, what you're leaving behind, and stuff like that. And this week I played with an artist called LP, and we rehearsed for a day, and we did a live streaming shoot. And I knew who she was, and I played with her, but I was not really familiar with her songs. And after studying her music, I became a fan. You know, really great songs.
That's awesome. Thanks for
Cool.
sharing. There are a bunch of questions from people who registered to watch these an hour later. And again, there's a bunch of people from Europe, and there's also people from Asia, if I'm not mistaken. So people will be watching these later. But let's go ahead and go with these questions, right? And maybe let's start with the most basic one. Like, I know these might be too basic, and I'm reading it, but I keep hearing that music sync, music licensing, placement, what's the difference? Is it all the same thing? Is it all like different ways of talking about the same subject? What is music sync, music licensing, placement in your perspective?
Who wants to start? I could say something. It's I'm not technical about like what's what. First of all, English is my second language, but from my understanding, it's all the same thing. It's just, for example, when you say licensing is getting the right to use the song, right? Like, so that's like getting the right. That's licensing. Sync is when you put the music and the images or whatever together. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. It's technically it's the same thing. When you're talking licensing and sync and lots of, it's just, licensing is perhaps having the right to use it. Sync is when you sync them, I guess.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, yeah, the same. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. The sync is the actual putting it together with the picture, and then placement is placing the song where it is.
Where it is, exactly. But it's technically the same thing. It's like you can say we're talking about the same thing. It's just like different steps, maybe different steps of that world,
Yeah, and obviously you can license other things than music, or you do have to use the music. So licensing is, you say sync licensing usually.
Right, exactly. So licensing, you can license, like a photo, you can license whatever, anything that somebody else owns, you buy the right to use it. Basically, that's licensing. So with music, it's like, sync licensing or music licensing.
And what's the kind of information that, for example, when you, and I know Alberto, you work, I don't know if Martina does work with a lot of artists, or you, but I know Alberto does, right? You actually sign artists to join Triple Scoop. What's the kind of information that you guys require an artist to have when you're signing? Like, for example, if the songs that you love and you want to sign these particular songs, do the artists need like a song split? What is the thing that you usually get from artists?
With us, since we do get that information from the artists, like splits and all songwriting, publishing, all that kind of stuff. The music doesn't have to be registered because there's no PRO involvement unless there is a song that is placed for broadcast. So most of our licenses are non-broadcast, so PROs are really not involved. What do we need from the artist? Honestly, great music. He needs to own 100% his music, the masters. The music needs to be out of Content ID, Facebook and YouTube monetization, because that becomes an issue when music gets licensed or gets used by your clients. If they start getting flagged or any kinds of issues with YouTube, like ownership and all that kind of stuff, a client would go like, hey, hold on a second, I already paid the license. Why am I getting flagged? Why am I getting all these notifications? I thought I was free to use it. I paid, what else do we need? The WAV files, lyrics. The music doesn't have to be how do you call it, on released. It can be released, not or non-released. So basically, the artist needs to own the music, and that's about it. And the Content ID.
I have a clarifying question for you on that. So, for instance, if you wrote a song with somebody else, or you gave your producer 12% of your master or something in your agreement as you were creating the song, if you have a one-stop agreement where everyone has agreed that, like, yes, this is all good to license if you contact this one person,
right?
Does that change that for you?
No. It's the same thing. It's the same. We have a lot of our artists. They have their song. They have co-writers, and we only signed like one person. So that one person is gonna be the admin of that counts, and then he's in charge of splitting the percentages between the writers.
And he's
So as long as you
authorized
have
to
an
sign the
agreement.
Right.
song.
I mean, yeah. He will probably go and ask everybody, hey, is it all right if we sign these songs? I'll be the admin, I'll sign the papers, and then when I get paid, I paid everybody, you know.
Sorry to interrupt you, Willow.
No, you're good. Well, I just wanted to make sure that, because it's like if you collaborate, it's very rare where it's like I created this all by myself and own 100% of it. But there is a way to have all of your stuff together and have an agreement worked up where it's like you've agreed that this person's going to be the contact. But I would just say too, for whomever asked that question, like when you make the song, write the split sheet as soon as it's done. Get the instrumental as soon as it's done, because if you get an opportunity and then you have to go track stuff down, and like I've had experiences where I wrote something with someone 3 years ago and they don't have the session anymore, so we can't get the instrumental, and there was an interest in a sync, but we couldn't do it, and that wasn't great for anyone. So
yeah, that's very true. We do ask for instrumental version and vocal version, and actually sometimes we ask for what we call light vocal, which is, it's not a TV mix. It's actually, for example, they leave certain background vocals like oohs and ahs, but as long as if they're musical, we can use those. So it's like an instrumental version with oohs and ahs. So we call them light vocals. So a lot of times we'll have like 3 versions of the same song. But yes, we ask everybody the WAV files for the vocal version, instrumental version, then lyrics. Then we need also like a photo and bio from the artist. And that's something that I was telling one time that I was doing the panel for the students. I told them, when you go into a session or you're writing, yes, get your splits. Then when you finish the song and it's getting mixed, get an instrumental version as well, and it has to be mastered as well. So it needs to match the vocal version. Both versions need to match on production, mix, and mastering. Exactly the same.
That's actually a really good advice, because I've seen a lot of people doing, finishing the project, they master the full version, they get the stems, they don't master the stems or whatever versions, thinking like, well, eventually, if it's an extra cost, but
it's worth it. It's worth doing it and having it, because we always ask for both versions, vocal and instrumental version. And maybe a third version. Sorry.
I'm going to jump in before you. I know you have stuff to say, Martina, but I'm going to jump in and say this. If you're an artist, also invest in, and you're working with producers or whatever, 2 things. A deal where you have the sessions, buy a hard drive, so the music that you wrote and produced, whoever, you have a copy of that, so that you don't have to run into the problems. Oh, I have to track down so-and-so. What if that person doesn't have? So having an archival system for the songs that you write is something that, a hard drive, 2 terabyte hard drive is $100.
Yeah.
So just have everything, have all the sessions, even if you can't open the sessions, but you can take it to a studio or to an engineer who has the Pro Tools or Logic or whatever. So that's another thing to invest in.
Something pretty funny. It's not funny, but I find it interesting. Believe it or not, as an artist, even as a composer, the way we treat our artists and composers are basically the same. Like our composers, we treat them as if they were artists. They are their own, like artists. We care about all of them very, very much. But a lot of times, some people that are like, oh, I just write songs, I just record them, I produce them, yada, yada, all this and that. And they don't think about having good photos. And it's so, believe it or not, that says a lot. Like if somebody, or even like somebody sends me, hey, here's the link to my website. And the website is kind of like, that's telling me a lot right off the bat.
Yeah,
like
that's actually one of the questions, like somebody asked, like, what's the importance of being present on social media? we're not even talking about being present on social media, but like being presentable, like having
right. Yeah, we for example, us in Triple School, we don't care if you're about your presence on social media. That doesn't mean anything, to be quite honest. All we care is the quality of the songs, right? But at the same time, you are gonna put yourself out there somehow and also come to us. I know that that it's not the end of the world. The photos are okay, but at least have something decent that says at least a little bit, or your website being kind of like, you know, a little presentable. You know, it helps. It just helps. And also we use the photos of the artists and or composers. Sometimes we use art, but we want to have a good photo of the artist. So, you know, just invest on it. It's worth it.
Cool. Martina, did you want to add anything?
Well, we work very differently. So we are publishers and we also own the master. So we don't work in the same way at all. So, you know, since we are the publisher, we handle everything that has to do with, you know, registering and all that kind of stuff. And we register all our works as well with the PROs. And, you know, because we do a lot of broadcast stuff as well. But I mean, there's also royalties on the internet and other forums as well. So, yeah, as far as like the splits that you were mentioning, Willow, is so important. Like that's like, I would say the number one thing as a composer, get that sorted before anything, because you don't want to argue about any of that stuff when it comes to actually signing contracts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, yeah, as far as like pictures and social media and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really matter to us either. We do social media, not so much, but like, you know, we do like press kits for our custom music composers and that kind of stuff. So I guess it's important on that side. But yeah, for the catalog, you know, it's all about the music really. And about the versions as well. So we do, I mean, we can do up to 10, 15 versions of a song. So obviously main version and instrumental version is the most important ones, but we do 30-second, we do 60-second, we do stings, you know, we do like, just like links and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit more complex, I guess. Yeah. It's different. It's different
stems
in the same way.
And the stems all separately as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's I mean, older stems is really something that's come about recently, I feel like. I mean, a few years ago, they didn't really, like, people ask for stems way more now than they used to. So there's a lot of recordings where the sessions are not available anymore, and you know, there are no stems.
There are no stems.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, we have an archive catalog from the 60s and 70s, and obviously there's not going to be any stems on that because it's recorded on tape. So
from what my understanding, the stems a lot of times some TV and film people, they like having their own mix, right? So that's why they grab their stems separately.
Yeah, and it's especially important for promos and trailers, I think. Like to cut it up, and they like to add on sound design and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, got it. Right.
Yeah.
Willow, were you going to say something?
Martina, as West One Music, is it primarily custom songs?
We do both. So we have a catalog. We have about 60,000 tracks in our catalog, and then we do custom music.
And then is it exclusive as well? Because you're saying if you own the master, I'm assuming that when you grab a song to say like, this is going to be in our catalog, it's exclusive. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so exclusive means that the song, if you're a composer and you write the song and it's exclusive, it's never going to go anywhere else. So the song is going to be owned by us as a publisher and owner of the master, always, excuse me. And yeah, and if it's non-exclusive, you can license your own song to different companies. But yeah, usually with music libraries, it's exclusive.
Got it. So how does it work? For example, like let's say I'm one of your composers, and you guys hire me for the piece of music, so you guys own the publisher, do the composer keeps collecting any on the back end, any part of the songwriting?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you'll own your writer share always.
Okay, cool.
You know, that's the part that you really need to figure out. So if there's more than one writer in something, figure out the actual percentage. Usually it's 50-50 if it's two writers or whatever, like, you know, people are usually pretty easy on that. But sometimes it's, you know, somebody wants 50% and they get two producers or whatever, and they get 25-25 or whatever.
Right. And you guys keep the publishing 100%, or you share that as well?
No, we're the publisher.
100%. Okay, got it. Question. Well, actually, there are some companies that do similar type of licensing as Triple Scoop, but what they do is they buy the song from the composer, and then the composer never sees royalties again, ever. You know, so there's certain models that do that, and it's all right. You know, it just.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's debatable. You know,
right.
I have my own feelings about that. I think that royalties is a huge part of what a composer gets as far as income, and I think it's so important that you register everything and that, you know, you get that money, because it can be a lot. So, you know, from my standpoint, it's you know, super important that we and that we get our composers what they
right. We believe that musicians, composers, artists should you know, make a living. So we don't do that. I mean, I'm just saying there's some companies that do that, and we just
there are so many different models, and you know, that's how we do it. But it's also kind of, you know, there are different deals with everything. Different clients do things differently as well. So you have to, you know, figure out if you want to do that or not, or so it's just really, it's different. It's different on the custom music side as well, because there it can be Wild West, you know, all kinds of deals come up there. So.
Ty added here to the chat box, like, what if we are already registered with the PRO and also have a ghost publishing company? Does it change anything?
I think that's more probably a question for Alberto, because as I said, if we commission all of our stuff, so we brief out an idea for an album to composers and then they make it. So we kind of act as a producer also, like we master everything, we mix everything. So, you know, it's a bit different for us because we will register all the songs and we act as the publisher, and then we collect on behalf of, you know, as far as like sync fees and all that kind of stuff, we collect that. So it's a bit different. So maybe it's more difficult.
For us, it's not a requirement to be on a PRO or be out of PRO. We rather have the songs out of PRO because some companies just like it that way, and for us it doesn't matter, because since there's no broadcast, there's no way to collect any PRO money from anywhere, and it's just, you know, royalty free, you know. So the artist gets basically the license fee and whatever split is from the license fee. If we happen to do a broadcast license, then PRO is involved, and then we'll do retitling or something like that. If we need to get a song out of PRO for a certain deal with a company that wants it that way, then what we do is we contact the artist, we tell them, hey, this is happening, they want to use your song, let's try to get out of PRO, or, you know, or we just work it out. But it's not a requirement to be on PRO or be out of PRO.
I'll add that, Ty, you can do you can still register the song as a songwriter, just don't publish it with your ghost publishing company, because it doesn't, you know, if your PRO gives you that option, you just register as a writer, and when, you know, if it asks you if you have a publishing company or if you have a publisher, you don't fill that that part. I've had songs recently picked up by a company, and they retitled everything, which means I can still license the song with my name wherever I want to shop it or send it to. However, they're the same audio file, or perhaps a different mix, since if they got the stems, becomes a different name, has a different title, and they have the exclusive rights over that title. So they own that. They own the publishing of that title.
Got it.
But I still own my title. So that's another way of doing things.
Got it. Yeah.
Any comments, Martina?
Yeah, we don't really do that. We don't really, so I don't know about all, retitling and all that kind of stuff, because we don't, we own the actual composition, or I should say the recording. So.
Yeah, you guys don't have to do it.
Just a curiosity, Alberto, you mentioned earlier that for you guys, it doesn't matter if the artist is out there on Spotify or whatever, right? Like, is it the same for you, Martina? Like, if the artist, let's say you really love this artist and you want to bring the artist in, do you require the artist to remove their catalog from?
No, not at all. We do both artist focused releases and straight up production music releases, like upbeat pop or attitude pop or whatever. But then we also do specific artist releases. And I mean, it's only good if they have other stuff out there and they we can help them push that band or that artist. That's that's great.
Right. Yeah. Is there a particular? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's yeah.
Is there a particular, like, do companies prefer new release material? I guess it depends on projects, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, we build our catalog from scratch. So, it doesn't really apply to us that we would acquire music that's out there. So we, we'll brief something that we want to get made, or, if the artist wants to make an EP with us, then we say, yeah, great, and then we'll work on it with them, and then release it together. And we do commercial releases as well. So we'll release everything on Spotify and iTunes, Apple, and all that kind of stuff as well.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, for us, it doesn't matter if the music has been released or not released, or presence or on social media. That really doesn't matter. All we care is quality. Current music, something that sounds like it could be played on radio, it needs to sound like really, really good. Really, no, we don't. I don't take music that sounds like library music, like generic stuff. So it has to be really good. Even if you're a composer, even if it's a cinematic song, it should not be like background music. It should be just something that has like great motifs, great sounding strings, or whatever it is that you're using, melodies, motifs, and needs to have a great arrangement, not just like a little thing that is flat and nothing is happening. What else? If it's brand new, great, because the chances of something brand new it means that it could be more relevant to what it's out there right now on radio, or better sounding. That's something that an artist or somebody created 5-7 years ago, something like that. So at the end of the day, it's like, as long as it sounds really good and the arrangements are great, that's all we care about.
That's awesome. Do you guys have is there any challenge when working, or do you guys work with international acts, like people from other countries? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just add that library music is also good quality?
No, I know that, but just generic. I've seen some library music. It's like a way of saying that it's like, very generic, and it's more. So we say we're more like artist focused, even if it's a composer or something like that.
Fine. fine.
I think traditionally library music was that. I think, most libraries have stepped it up, and that, our music, if you listen to it in your car, could be something that's played on the radio,
Right.
But and
And also on that note, Martina, do you guys also work with different producers? Like, do you like working with producers as the same way as you work with artists or mixing engineers? Do you have like your pool of mixing engineers that you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, more so on producers and composers. And like you said, we work internationally with people as well. So we're a global company. We're actually from the UK. So we work a lot with composers from Europe, producers from Europe. But we also have a Latin American label. So we work locally with people there in different countries. So mixing is a little bit different because we have some composers that we work with frequently, they like to mix their own stuff, and then we just have to touch it up, and we master everything on our end. Some albums we mix completely, so it's a bit different. Depends on what it is. If it's orchestral, obviously we use a specific person for that because he knows what we're looking for and what the sound is and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it all depends really. But yeah, we work on a level and with people all over the world.
Yeah, so do we. It's not that hard for us because what we do applies for everybody, so everybody has to go through the same steps. So it's not that hard. I mean, sometimes there are certain things, language and understanding certain things, sometimes that could be a little tricky if you're working with somebody. For example, you're trying to tell them about content ID, and actually even artists here in the United States, a lot of people don't understand. They don't know what content ID is. So with certain artists, including here, like you're trying to tell them, no, content ID needs to be out of content ID. They go like, okay, yeah, and it's like, no, it needs to be out of content ID. So what is it? It's like, no, you go to your distributor and make sure that you're not monetizing YouTube and Facebook. So so it's quite simple, but it's a super important step. Because part of the way we license, part of the deals with licensing the music to our clients is that they're not gonna run into any issue with content ID. They're not gonna get claims. They're not gonna 100% of our catalog is clear of content ID, so no issues. There won't be any issues.
Got it.
But then you also can't claim money on YouTube.
Right. Exactly.
So that's kind of the trade-off, but yeah.
Right.
There is a really cool question from Renata here. Let's see. What's the best way for an artist to approach a music licensing and A&R company to show these companies that their own music? Is it what's the best way for you guys? You probably get bombarded with emails all the time, right?
Yeah. I honestly, I can say from my perspective, I don't know how everybody else does it, but honestly, if you have really good music, that's the first thing. I actually read every single email, every submission. I click on every single submission. I don't need to know what you ate for breakfast and for lunch. Just show me the music, I'll listen to it, and if it's good, I reply. I don't need to know where you went to school, what you did. Just a little something short. That's fine. You don't have to tell me like, hey, I heard your last projects. Congratulations to that. There's some people that teach that stuff, like how to approach. I don't care, honestly. I'm read the email really quick and I click on the link to your music, to your website, to your Spotify or Disco or whatever link. And if it's good, I'm gonna reply. So that's, in my case, that's how we do it over here. So I don't know how other people do it, but the music is the first thing that speaks to me. And again, if I see like if you send me your website and the website is kind of like, I just know that the chances of the music being good is like, but I still listen to the music, believe it or not.
Martina.
Yeah, I think I personally don't handle music submissions because we have an A&R team. But I would say, just based on the way that I pitch, because I pitch our music to music supervisors and networks and production companies and all that, right? And just based on that and the information that I need to look up, I would say, if you're a composer, and find something that you're really good at. Like, you can write all types of music and that's cool, but like have one thing that you're really, really good at, and maybe look up shows that use that kind of music, where you think you would fit in. Do your research before you reach out, because if somebody reaches out to me and says, I really like Stranger Things and I write this kind of music and whatever, like, here's a link to my new EP, check it out, then I'm going to be like, oh, cool, they've already done the research, then I can pitch this. Great,
Got it. I go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's kind of it. I think there are certain strengths that you should look into. Like if you're really good at hip hop, then do that. If you're really good at rock, then do that. I think it's really interesting with people that play unique instruments. I think that's something that people look for a lot as well. Or, if you're from another country, and if you play authentic music to your country, like that kind of stuff. I think that's, play on your strengths, I would say.
Right. That's a good point. I think that if you are somebody, a composer or an artist, okay, so check this out. So this is interesting. So we have composers and artists, right? And we have also artists that they've learned all these skills. For example, I'm one of them, creating all different styles of music. I can create all kinds of music. So that I have a whole bunch of different projects. And also I've learned what makes a song licensable. So like that, we also have producers and artists for example, artists that they have their artist project, and then they have all this back catalog of music that is super catchy, super licensable. Same with certain composers, same with certain producers. So if you are a guy that can create all kinds of music and you know how to do it really well, do the research if you want to pitch the music to certain companies. Like, go to the company, see what is it how their music sounds, what type of music is it that they are showcasing the most, especially the sound, how it should sound. Is it more alternative? Is it more indie? Is it more hip hop? Is it more, and how the arrangements are. Like, there's some companies that honestly they have music that arrangements are certain way, or they're like a lot, like it's like a how do you call it, like a formula of an arrangement that, like, all their songs are very similar arrangement wise. So if you want to put your music in different places, don't put the same music everywhere. Just find where, like, what is it that this company does, and give them that, and then go to another company, see and find out what is it that they're doing, and give them that. And you can make a living doing that, but you gotta spend a lot of time writing and producing.
Yeah, there are two things. One, back to Martina, you mentioned that you do the pitchings to music supervisors, right? Do you feel like it's on a supervisor's perspective, do they take you more seriously than they would take, like, the artist or the composer approaching them? How do you feel that?
I think that's tough, because music supervisors we get bombarded, but they get bombarded with music submissions, and they're not gonna have time to look at everything, and that's totally, that's totally fine. I think it's easier to come from a company that they've met me, they know that I keep up with what they're working on, and I try to pitch accordingly. And they appreciate that, hopefully. So I think it's probably easier because I have that and I meet them at, not so much anymore, but I used to meet them at events, and I would see them, for lunch and coffee and, out and about and whatever. Yeah. So I think you're coming from a person like that, maybe, than straight from a composer. and overall, I mean, we do this all day, every day. So I think it's probably easier to get your music out to go through a company that does that, and whatever company works best for you and whatever model works best for you, because we all work differently. Obviously me and Alberto work completely differently within our company. So it's all like what works best for you as a composer as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. The reason why I asked is because, Greco and I would be more involved in the composing for visual media aspects, and all the panels that we've been doing are with composers. And I think that there's a lot of people who mainly focus on reaching out to supervisors, and they're constantly like looking for who these people are and trying to make these connections. But just like now that you mentioned that you are the one, I just thought like, yeah, if I would be a music supervisor, I think I would receive, your presentations a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I would trust more. I would trust that all the documentation is correct. You have all the,
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, because it's easier to license from a company than it is from a composer, maybe. And not to say that it's impossible. Yeah. Definitely not. Like, a lot of music supervisors have their go-to composers that they go to for shows, and they've gotten there somehow. They probably, I don't even know, they have a relationship, and that, so it works. But I think I definitely have an upper hand because I'm coming from a company, and easier. They know what to expect.
That's cool. And also, Alberto, you mentioned what was it? Kind of like, and this is also connected to one of the questions. Do you think it's important for artists to look for trends in syncing and licensing, or do you feel like? In your case, you mentioned yourself, right? Like you can compose in several different styles and things like that, and I think it's super cool. But like, would you recommend that to all artists, like to try to?
I mean, honestly, yes, you should, because you want to sound current. You want to create music that people can relate to when they're listening to the radio. That's like from my experience, and a lot of the companies that we're working with, they want stuff that sounds like it's sounding, like certain artists like nowadays, or stuff that is catchy, that is modern. Like I tell a lot of my composers, I mean, when I create playlists, that kind of stuff, I'm like, go and look, what is it that what's Nike doing? What's Adidas, Apple, like what are they using right now under commercials, in the advertisement? Watch videos. Be aware of what the type of music they're using. I do it as well. So there, a lot of times it's like it's something that sounds like one of the latest songs of such and such, or actually sometimes they actually license the music of such and such. They've used music from like Danger Twins. They've used Susie, what's the name, Susie Q or whatever. That kind of stuff that is like modern, and it's being used, and it just sounds current.
Yeah, and I guess that's more like for artists who really want to work in the commercial world, right? Like they want to have it's not like, how does it work for you, Martina? Because you do have your own catalog. You produce the music. Do you go for let's sound like artist A, B, or C, or let's dive into your thing as an artist and use that, or both?
Yeah, so we have 13 labels in our catalog, so they all work differently as far as that. So we have certain labels where we definitely look at the top 40 and we go, okay, this is what people are asking for right now. We should probably make something similar to it. Because obviously, a lot of times people can't afford such and such. So they go to companies, with indie artists or, production music libraries and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a tricky one, because I feel like sometimes there's a formula to things. Like when you look at promos and trailers, usually, there's a formula it needs to build, and it needs to have certain elements to it. Obviously, pop has a formula, rock has a formula. But sometimes the abstract stuff is what people are looking for as well. And they're looking for
Right.
the instrument or something that's authentic to a certain country.
Right.
It's really random. Like, I feel like whatever kind of music you do, if it's good, you can license it, because
Yeah.
place for everything. Like, there's so much content. Like, just look at Netflix. They push out content every single day. Like, and they're all like all over the place. It's all different stuff. So, there's a place for everything, I think.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree.
And maybe a question for Willow. How you mentioned you have some music out there on Nickelodeon and Oprah Winfrey Network. How did that work for you? Was it mainly from connecting and playing and gigging, and then you meet the right person, and then out of a sudden your music is there?
Yeah, and I apologize, my internet, I have never had so much trouble on Zoom as in the last hour. So
It's all
I don't
good.
know what's going on. So hopefully I stick around to answer your question. But the Oprah Winfrey placement was a collaboration song that I had done with a hip hop artist, and the hip hop artist had like a label that had a sync arm, and that's how that one came to be. Um, so that, I'm in the habit of doing collaborations with tons of different kinds of artists, and doing that consistently. So I think that just expands your chances of having opportunities, because then you have more than one person working on it as well, not just you hustling your own music. And then with the Nickelodeon stuff, that was a custom song. So they said, this is our project, this is what we're looking for. So that was a pitch that I did on spec with a friend of mine. We've been doing, like, anytime I have to do a kids music pitch, like, we get together because we love making kids music together. And we've pitched probably like 10 projects to different kids shows before we actually got that one. But then since we've got that one, Nickelodeon has been calling us more consistently to pitch, and they know who we are now. So it's sort of like, that I think actually happened in maybe January of this year. And, since January, they've reached out to us for 3 more things, and we were in the running, but, didn't get it. But at least we're getting to play the game. And I think, that's one of 20 different, pots that I have cooking on the stove with different people that I make music with. And then just, once we got connected with that music supervisor, I've had more conversations with her of like, hey, these are some of the other things that I do, and what is there anything you're looking for? How can I serve the projects that you're working on right now? Because they're constantly trying to meet needs. Like, they have songs they need right away, and the more touch points you have, and more often you're doing that, the more likely it's going to be that what you have is going to be what somebody needs in that moment. So, I mean, I'm barely figuring this out, but I think those are the things that I've observed to be successful for myself and for other people who do 10 times more work than I do in the sync world.
Cool. And just to kind of like clarify, you do have your own like artistic project, right? Willow. If people look on Spotify, look her up. It's great music. It's different from the music that you pitch, right?
Yes, and I do pitch some of the music. Like, I had a Christmas song that came out, and like, holiday music is often a big need. So like, I'm always pitching that song, and that's already out. But a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is a custom brief that comes out to say, we need this in the next week. Can you make it happen? So I don't know. I think your chances are a little better when it's custom versus pitching, like cold pitching your own stuff. Although I do think that a lot of my music that's out is licensable and could have homes if I could figure out how to find them. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I think custom is a huge thing for composers, and I think that's where a lot of the opportunities are. Like you say, usually the turnaround is insane, and they need it yesterday. So going directly to a composer can sometimes be easier than going through a company when it comes to custom. As long as the composer knows how to do contracts and all the admin that comes with it. So yeah, and like you said, if you're in and they like you have a chance to get in and you nail it, or or maybe you don't get the spot, but at least they like you good enough to keep sending you briefs. That's how you should do it. Like, as long as you're in, then you're in the running, and like
Right, right.
Now, Willow, referencing a question from Andrew, for artists and composers who use a stage name, are there any problems they run into with sync licensing? I guess he's worried that if you're known as an artist, that, you know, maybe your name is going to have a negative, you know, influence on syncing songs. Have you run into that, or is that helpful? And that goes for Martina and Alberto as well. I mean,
I
you
can
guys.
speak to that from personal experience, because my legal name is different than the name that I release music under. And it's not a problem, because even in your PRO, like, you register the work under your legal name as the songwriter, but the artist name is still attached to it. And with the sync or the license, you know, that's just all in the contracts. It's in the paperwork. It's in the back end. It's not going to like reveal your identity to the world if you get a sync, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people use alternate names for certain things. So
Right.
if you're doing projects that, you know, some people work under two different names, so they'll work on some stuff under their artist name and some stuff under their real name, or even a made-up name. Like, anything is possible, really. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. Changing a little bit the route of the conversation, let's talk about money a little bit. Like, what is one of the questions was, let me find it here. Well, first, how do you prefer to receive music from people? I think it's a cool question. Do you prefer, like, you know, Spotify links or SoundCloud or Box or Disco? Because I know some of those platforms are paid, but maybe easier to handle when you receive a bunch of tracks in your email address. How does that work?
Yeah, I just wouldn't send any actual files in an email, because people are not going to open that because of, you know, like, whatever viruses and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just send links that are credible. So like SoundCloud is totally fine, I think.
Yeah. Links, Spotify, Disco, SoundCloud.
Cool.
I don't like downloading stuff unless I already know the person, or it's an actual, I signed somebody already, and we have a process. Of, you know, of sending the material. But yeah, I don't like downloading stuff. It's just easier to do a couple of clicks and just listen.
Awesome. I wasn't able to find the question here, but yeah, money, like, how does it work? What are the fees? How much, like, what's the percentage that the artist gets when the deal is, you know, set in stone? Martina, maybe go first.
Yeah, that's such a complex question, because it really depends on so many things. So are you talking about the money that when you sign with a company, or the money that comes in when you actually get a placement, or the money that comes in on the back end?
Both, maybe, or three. All of the above.
Yes. So when you sign with a company, it really depends on the deal that you have. So sometimes, and there are different companies, right? So like I said, we, well, that has to do with the back end, really. It depends. It completely depends. So we have different labels that work differently on their deals, and I'm not personally involved with those deals, and I also cannot disclose those deals. But yeah, it all depends, really, if there's an upfront fee or not. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Same thing goes for custom. Sometimes there's a hefty fee involved, which, you know, you always hope for that. Sometimes there's not a lot of money involved in the upfront fee, but you can get a lot on the back end. So it can kind of, sometimes you weigh it. So that's, you know, and it's different if you go to sync agent, they'll take a percentage of something when you get a placement, instead of, you know, if a company is the publisher and all that kind of stuff. So it really depends. And then the sync fee is heaven and hell. It's literally, you know, $0 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it really depends. And it depends.
Budget.
Yeah, it depends on budgets, obviously, but it's also if, you know, you're an indie artist, if you're a well-known artist, if you're somewhere in between, if, you know, there's so many different variants to it, and it all depends on also what company you're going with. Like if you're signed to Universal, Sony, the numbers are going to look completely different than if you're signed to an indie label. So it all depends. And then royalties also depends completely on the network that you're on. Different networks have different minute rates. And it also depends on what time of the day you're airing. If it's prime time, if it's, you know, in the middle of the night, if it's in the morning, if it's a main title, if it's, you know, background music, background vocal, it completely depends.
Wow.
And that kind of stuff is just voodoo to me. Like I have no idea how they figure it out.
Right.
No, but I think the most important is that there's like, it's open, right? Like it's not like there's nothing set in stone. There's no right or wrong. There's just like different ways for different projects and different budgets. I think that's the.
Yeah, and there's not, yeah, like you say, it's not, there's no bad deals and no great deals. Like it's always up to you as a composer what you think is fair, you know? It's sometimes there's not a lot of money in this, and sometimes there's a lot. So
Yeah.
It really depends, and there's nothing, we never know. And we kind of try to navigate the landscape all the time, and it always changes, especially when, you know, with all the new streaming platforms, they all work differently. And on the royalty side of that as well, they're still trying to figure out that, how, you know, because at some point it's all going to shift to digital, and they're going to have to figure out how to compensate composers on the royalty side and publishers. So yeah.
For us, it's we try to keep it as simple as possible, also because of the type of licenses that we do. So when I sign an artist, we don't charge anything to the artist. We don't give advances. So it's just an agreement. He comes on board and we split the license fee. And we have all these different type of licenses fees, depending on the project. You know, if it's a film, if it's a company, depending on the size of the company, if it's like a, you know, like a webinar, or you name it, a commercial. And then also we do some custom licenses. So depending on the project, depending on the budget and that kind of stuff. And we also have like business to business deals that we work directly with partners that they're using our music on their platforms, you know, or apps or that kind of stuff. So those are the deals, for example, like, you know, Adobe, Apple, Vimeo, that kind of stuff, which are great, you know, because they bring like constant revenue to the artists that the music gets used with them. And then we have, like, you know, like clients coming directly to the website on a daily basis, like thousands and thousands of clients that license the music directly. And then again, it depends on what the project is or how they're going to be using the music. They pay the fee, and then we split that.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth mentioning, since we have people from elsewhere than the US, that it works differently in different countries. So certain countries, you license music through a bigger platform, like in the UK, what's it called? I think it's called MCPS. It's a big organization that you license through instead of licensing directly through publishers. And it works like that in a lot of countries. It works like that in Australia as well, for example. So it kind of depends on what the licensing process is as well.
Gregor, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was, because I was reading something the other day. I'm not sure it's relevant now, but it was about Netflix and the fact that Dawson's Creek, they had just agreed on relicensing I think it was the theme song or the opening song.
Yeah.
Because when Dawson's Creek was in the air, streaming platforms didn't exist. So that never went into the contract for licensing the songs that are in the series. So when it came time to, you know, put the series on Netflix or whatever streaming platform it was, you know, the songs were not were not up for, they were out of the contract. So a lot of stuff got replaced with current songs, and the fans actually were pretty upset about that, because they had that moment in their life where, that episode had that one song that they connected with, and now it was not there anymore because of contractual clauses. And then they finally, I guess they renewed the contract, or came up with drew up a new contract with Paula Cole and relicensed the song. So the opening song is back on the episode. So what Martina was saying was that, it varies, and because streaming didn't exist 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and then now we're moving to all digital, and how, it's like, that's how now as an artist or composer, you see in contracts, it's, you enter a contract and it says universally and in perpetuity, which means the person you're signing your contract with is going to own the rights to use that song or whatever it is that you're licensing throughout the universe and for perpetuity. So we don't have that thing again.
Yeah, in case we move to Mars,
Exactly.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's all, I was actually thinking that, I mean, all licenses, well, not all of them, but if they want all media, online, TV, theatrical, whatever, it's all media now known or hereafter. So
Oh, wow.
it might come along, because you never know. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever's going to come after this.
Right.
Yeah. I saw this week that Coldplay announced their interest in performing on the moon.
Well, there you go.
They're planning.
In universe.
Willow, you have to leave, correct? You have something. Cool.
Run into a gig. It was great being with you all.
To meet
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Willow.
Nice to meet you, Willow. Take
Nice
care.
to meet you.
And we need to wrap up, but like there are a couple more questions, if you don't mind. What is it? There's one from David here. I think it's cool. Is there any particular genre or themes that you find most, like, the companies look for the most, or something that's more current that you feel like, do these go this way, or?
It's so all over the place.
Yeah.
If you look at the current stuff, you just look at what's popping right now. So
Right.
it's a lot of hip hop, obviously, but then you look at, Billie Eilish, she comes up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Lizzo.
As Adele did a few years ago.
Yeah, it's like, there's trends to everything, but they're also, as soon as they come, they kind of go. So it's like, I don't know. It depends on what you want to do as well. If you want to do trailer music, there's definitely trends within trailer music that are more prominent and they last for a longer time, I think. Like covers within trailer music has been a thing for a long time. So trailerized orchestral covers of songs, or, sad covers of whatever, Britney Spears songs. Like
Right.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, it depends on what you want to write for.
That's true.
There's no formula, like we said before. It's really so all over the place.
Yeah. So and then again, it goes back to what I was saying. Just like find out what is it that this company is doing, because and their focus and their clients, because for example, like we try to focus a lot on advertising or like Vimeo, Adobe. They have go to their app, listen to what they're using. These are videos of or like TikTok, that kind of stuff. Like what is it that they are playing? If you go to Adobe, the latest Adobe app, just look at the videos that the people are creating, and you'll see what is it that they're doing. They're using a lot of hip hop, a lot of modern alternative pop, which is that thing that is like somewhere between pop, rock, and hip hop. That is like you can't point out exactly one style, but it's like it is pop, but it's alternative, but it's hip hop, but it's electronic with like cool vocals, catchy phrases with, I mean, you name it. But so again, like, look what is it that this company is doing, what are their clients, what is it that they're showcasing, and then create that music. You know, there's no one specific style.
Yeah.
Cool. Were you gonna say something, Martina?
I agree. I wish I could tell you, like, do this, but it's really
Yeah, it's
something that you're good at, like, that really shines through, that's your thing. That's what I think. When I listen to stuff, I'm like, this person is really good at this thing.
right.
So I think that's
That's key. That's key too. You know, if you want to write trailer music, for example, go to a company that does trailer music and be good at it. You like get really good at it. You know, if you want to write pop or rock, do something really good, and then go to a company that focus more, that it's uses that style more for their clients.
Yeah.
You know, that's really it.
I think there's a question from Shadow Eaton. I think it ties really well with what you guys said. It seems that the era of sync writing, sync licensing is becoming very competitive. How can an artist stand out? You know, like with everybody is now recording at home and producing from home. How can an artist stand out? Like, what is maybe a final closure advice for people who are watching or who will watch these later? What's the thing?
One word: quality. Quality. That's it. It's quality. That, at least for me, if something doesn't sound good, I just go like, nope, I won't take it. If the production and mix are not good, even if the song is catchy, I'll tell that person, hey, your song is really catchy, you're a really good writer, but your production skills are not good.
And would these artists have another chance with you or with your company if they came back with the well-produced?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one thing that I do actually for all composers, producers, and artists is if they're working on something, or if they think they finish a product, they send it to me and I just go like, hey, you know what? It's a really good song, or you have something very interesting here, but it needs the mix. It's too flat. You need to add more bass, or even in the production. Hey, the song is really good, but the production is just really poor. You don't have. You're missing this. You're missing this. You're missing that. Yada yada, and fix the mix. You know, the vocals are a little too loud. Maybe these other things happening. There's no point of like, what is that? What is that you have here on the right side of the, you know, like,
yeah.
Like I'll go to specifics.
Yeah.
I'll go to very specific things off the track, if needed. If I see that there's nowhere to go, then I go like, no. Same with composers. If I hear a song, a track that has like all these really cool elements, but something is missing, or the mix is kind of like, I'll tell them, hey, it's really good, but you got to improve this. And sometimes they turn out really, really well. And some of those songs, they ended up they get licensed a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what would be, you know, the striking kind of, what would really put the nail in the coffin. It's kind of a mix of everything that we mentioned before. I think do your research on both the catalog that you're pitching to, see if there's a gap in there. I think especially if you know you're specialized in something that the catalog doesn't have and you think they should have it, certain instruments or even countries. You know, we get asked all the time about music from specific countries. So if you feel like there's a gap in the catalog, you can search. You just search for the country and you can see if there's any music that comes up. Something like that, or do the research on the shows, or advertising or whatever, and be like, I think my music will be great for this. But yeah, it's a tough one because internally as well, we have certain things that we're looking for that we obviously don't make public. We're working on them internally. So if something comes in that matches what we're looking for and that we're going to work on, then it's like, okay, great. We found someone. We don't have to go out and look for them.
Right.
It's a tough one. I mean, we have a network of 1,000 composers that we work with, and you know, that has done maybe one project for us, or has done several projects, or we always look for new people as well. So it's just a big pool of people, and now more than ever, people are looking for these opportunities, of course, and I totally understand that, and we try to accommodate as many people as possible. But it, you know, it's tricky. But there's also like hundreds of companies doing what we do, so there's a place for everyone, I think, if it's good. If it's good.
And that means if there are hundreds of companies doing that, it's because there's multiple right sources of opportunities for these companies to be doing that. And I think it's beautiful because now more than ever, we've been consuming more visual media stuff, videos, film, and things like games. And I think it's really cool for artists to explore these possibilities and learn from people like you and how to do it, how to, you know, to get their stuff out. I think it's super cool. Rico, did you want to add anything to that?
I think Martina touched on it. I think Alberto touched on it. I'll be controversial and offer the other side of the spectrum, which is do what you do, you know, do what you love to do. If you're gonna spend your whole life chasing trends, you're gonna be chasing trends your whole life. I'm not saying you're gonna create a new one. Perhaps you can go your whole life and never create a trend. I think they're all valid ways to do it. Just enjoy what it is that you're doing right now. And who knows? You don't know. Nobody knows.
Right.
Today, this is what's selling. Tomorrow, it's something else. And then perhaps tomorrow, what's going to sell is the thing that you've been working for 5 years. And all of a sudden, boom, you're the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else is going to be chasing you. But you spent the last 5 years working on that. So there is not really like one recipe.
Right.
You know, nobody knows.
Right,
if we knew, we'd all be multimillionaires by now. And
we wouldn't be talking right now.
Correct. If we knew, then, you know, I guess that's why I say Martina hit upon it, which is like, do you, be you.
Yeah.
Develop your thing. Now, if you're good at writing multiple styles of music or doing a bunch of things, and you want to develop into a craft, that's different. That's not art. That's a craft. Right. That's a skill set. So, you know, your art is one thing. Your craft and your skill set it's a different thing. You can do that. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can develop, you know, like a photographer knows how to shoot in a bunch of different situations, but he's really known for that one thing. You know, and I have friends who are composers and successful composers at that, and they go through the same thing. They is like, yeah, I was talking to my agent the other day, and he was telling me that so and so was looking for a composer for this movie, but you know, this guy only does this. And my friend was like, no, I can do more than just this. But he became known for that one thing, and then all of a sudden, we want to put people in boxes because we need that. So, you know, just be ready for that. I'm forever the guitar player who played with so-and-so. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter. It'll never matter what I do after that, because I played with so-and-so. That's it for a number of people. You know, so do you.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Beautiful. And just to wrap up, I think it's really cool. I think Alberto mentioned at the beginning, Martina also touched on it. I think it's super important, like when you reach out to people, you know, like have your stuff together, like have a nice website, have a nice, you know, like an artist, a bio, you know, like and that it applies for all artists. Like if you upload your music to Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever, you know, it's like people, when they go watch a movie, they're gonna see the poster and they're gonna, you know, look at what is the thing that I'm gonna watch right now. Like they want to read about you. So have a nice bio, nice photos, right? Like really defined visual identity. I think it's super important because again, like these people, they don't have a lot of time to go through all the emails and all the links. So make it easier for them. And by doing that, it'll be more effective when you're reaching out to these people. I guess that's it. Thank you so much for your time, Martina, Alberto, Greco, and Willow.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
all
Bruno.
for watching
Thank you, guys.
these. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.